Okay, we're all set up. We have our hot air popcorn popper. It is an Orville Redenbacher Presto model, 1,450 watts, which should be sufficient. We're going to plug it in. We're going to measure out using our handy dandy measuring cup the appropriate amount of coffee beans from Costa Rica, still in the sack, fresh, and we're gonna try to roast coffee. I'll be right back. So for the best results, we need to plug in the popper, let it warm up, and then we'll get some of these nice beans. If you can smell the aroma there, they're looking really well. We'll get us a cap full of that. Not a full cap. We're going to start out with about a half and just see how that works. So if you'll stand by, we'll set our coffee there, and then we'll plug our thing in there. Put the beans out of the way. All right, it's still warm. Not really hot. We'll wait for it to get its mojo before we throw it in. It's starting to get a little warm. I can smell the heat. So let's go ahead and filter. Hands away. And we're getting a little bit of bean throw out. But for the most part, we have successful heat. A few beans are deciding they don't want to hang around, but they're feeling warm now as they're coming out. The idea is to have the crack of the bean. I think what we need to do is perhaps get the top on. Yeah, we'll have for a little bit. We're still getting some beans out. They are hot now. Very hot. So we're going to keep going. You can see the chaff from the beans is starting to exit. Beans are beginning to roast a little bit. Keep throwing them back in there. Get a little brown, as you can see. A few that are deciding they want to leave the party. We'll have to put those back in the next round. Maybe a little tilt back. So I'm tilting it back a little bit to prevent the beans from exiting our chamber. They're brown now. We have brown beans. We have a lot of heat. Haven't heard them crack yet. But they are nice and brown now. And I think I kind of heard a little bit of a crack there. Oh, there's a crack. Now you can hear it. For a moment. This is working really well now. The secret is to tilt the angle so that the beans stay inside and don't eject. Still get one or two that throw their way out. We'll have to remedy that in the future. But first time experiment, sort of a learning process, but starting to have some very dark beans in there. Not much smoke yet. We're not smoking, but it's definitely moving the beans, getting some even heating. So our idea is to roast those beans. Don't want to overdo it. If you really want to preserve the exact flavor from those volcanic Costa Rica mountains, you need to not overheat the beans. But we do want to get rid of the chaff and to move on to the next process. I'm going to go ahead and kill the heat. I think we're in a good position here. There's the beans that came out prematurely. There's one or two on the ground. So not completely successful, but not a total failure. We do have some smoke in there from the beans, so we're gonna get those out pretty quickly. So, oh, you can hear them popping in there. So let me get something to throw those out. Stand by. So what we've learned is the beans need to off gas. So as we dump them in there, they need to cool. So we're gonna let them cool in this colander. So what we'll do is we'll arrange this to go here. We will dump the beans, which they look good and brown. Just kind of shake them around a little bit. Getting rid of that unneeded outer shell. Kind of flies away. So there's our first crack at coffee beans. Very light roast, I would estimate. So we will try the next batch a little darker. We'll be better prepared, and I'll let you know. Just wanted to show the beans in the bottom of the bag with the vent valve. Not too sure you can see that. And once I wrap this up good and tight and seal it, the bean gases will be able to escape. And in the morning, I'll let you know what the coffee's like. All right, we're ready for round two. We're going to attempt a darker roast, and we bought out the first aid kit. Hopefully won't need it for first aid, but the idea is to tilt our Presto Orville Redenbacher popcorn maker in a direction that will allow the beans not to escape or air pop. So let's plug it in. This time we're going to let it heat up a little more. We already have the beans ready. By the second time around, I think I was professional. So let's see what happens. Typical air poppers are around 1,200 watts. That's 1,200 watts. This one is 1,450. The number one rated popcorn air popping coffee roaster is around 1,500 watts. So let's do something here. We're gonna dump some beans in. Let's do it this way. We'll go ahead and put our top on first. Secure that. Got some nice tilt there on our machine. That's level, so you can see it's at a 40 degrees maybe. Here we go. just in case it throws these guys around. But for the most part right now, this time with the top on, there they go. They're starting to move, but they're sitting on the bottom of this thing. So, good movement. I think the key to the roasting process is to move the beans around, and we want to roast them quickly, evenly, but also not over roast them. So let's see if we get a good result. There they go. You can see the color. Sort of similar from the bag, except maybe just a slight tip. But they're even. The beans are evenly roasted. Not getting much in the pan, as you can see. Allow that to set. Beans aren't moving much, so we might have it tilted too far back. Maybe we want to move it forward. I'll let it go. Maybe give it a little shake there. It doesn't seem to be. It's tilted further back now. Let's let it move forward. So now, there we go. Now it's moving. So as you can see, you can get different results with the tilt. How much the beans move. And occasionally a bean will eject. So this might be the most critical part, is figuring out how to get the tilt. I will tell you, this is very hot right now. Not hot enough to burn you. It's hot enough to not want to stick your hand in there. Those beans are getting pretty brown. So I like them when they're done. I'll let them cook a little longer. So we'll have a light roast and a dark roast. This is our second batch. And we're going for it. We're already almost experts. Didn't really time it, but we can go back and look at the video, and you can kind of hear it cracking and popping. You hear that? You got a little bit of smoke, not much, but I'm sure the bottom of that is extremely hot. We don't want to burn these beans, so we're going to let them go into maybe, yeah, some are dark. You can see a little bit of smoke, but this is a much darker roast. I would imagine when you buy store-bought coffee that what you get is a lot of burnt beans. They want it to look dark. They want the flavor to be a little bolder, I would assume. So I'm not disappointed. with the ability to roast beans. Some are very dark, but I would rate it overall as a way to roast beans without burning. So we shall see. This is I'm going to call this a medium roast. Might do some more experimenting and actually let those beans cook a little better at the right angle and see if we can get them even hotter and browner. The trick, I think, is to keep it moving, but yet keep the heat applied too. So we'll see what happens. Okay, round 3 with the Orville Redenbacher. I've chosen to go less on the angle, maybe 30 degrees, and less beans. Maybe a 4th, sort of an even layer on the bottom. And we're gonna see if we can get a dark roast here. That's why I'm using a smaller amount in case we overdo it, but we might have to let them sit on the bottom for a little while until they roast and see what happens. So let's plug it in. We'll do the same thing. We'll let it heat up. Top off. Meat ready to go in. We'll let it get nice and red before we apply the beans. While that's heating up, you can see we've taped off our original light roast. We have the medium roast ready to be bagged. It's cooling a little bit more. So roast 3. Starting to see some red. Let's give it a pop. The top on. I think having the top on is sealed. That's the air. You can see the beans are not ejecting. It's a fine line between allowing the beans to move but not having them eject. Stand by. Okay, I've returned. Had to get the colander. They're, as you can see, they're kind of light. They're moving. An occasional bean leaves the factory. We're not happy about it, but you can see. But we're getting good movement and we're getting good color. Or after that, 2 beans. I think what I'll do is the beans that are injected, we just kind of put them back in our cup up there. Should probably just reintroduce them. Stick them back in. This roast is this is probably the same time as the white roast. Probably another minute or so will be the medium roast, and I feel like we can go a minute beyond that. And do have some beans coming out. Doesn't seem to be a problem. Those are not really very dark. You can see them there. They seem to come right back out. They must be lighter. I wonder if that's a way to tell how good the coffee is. If the coffee has more oil, then perhaps the beans will remain intact. Whereas if there's less oil in the bean, maybe it ejects the lighter beans. Just a theory, but let's watch. We're getting ejected beans now that are definitely medium. So we're starting to be close to here. And you can see the occasional bean come up. I'm going to reintroduce them. You can hear the cracking. I'm not sure if you can hear that. But we do have cracking going on. I can smell the coffee much more with the dark roast. No smoke, but definitely what the vapor that comes out is cooked beans. Actually much less than I thought. When you go into a coffee shop, it seems like as soon as you enter the coffee shop, that aroma is very distinct. So we have dark beans now, and the ones that are ejected, you can see much more color. And the ones dark here. So I'm kind of not seeing everything. I like the fact that beans are occasionally ejected because it shows a good movement. To me, the sound is just continuous crack. Very faint sound. Still cracking now. You can hear it. pink, so it could be actually allow it to finish. And then over here to it. I'm getting a lot of beans out here. Color is much better. Let me get some light. I can show you what the color is. Still cracking. Good sound crack. So this is fun. I do like my coffee. These beans were ordered, and I will kind of go over how to order fresh beans and when to use them, how to store them. We'll have a lot of information about that. But for now, we're down to a handful of beans, maybe 15, 20 beans left. They're still popping out of the computer. Still good. I don't think they're definitely not burning. But the roast may be at this point as dark as we'll get it. And no need to push. We've got a good handful of beans out of that small amount and only a few left. So I'm going to dump the rest before they overheat. And I'll come back and show you the color. This is our third roast, the dark. Have it cooling down there. Very even, rich, no burned beans. Definitely on the darker side of the roast. This was probably the best roast out of the three. I think the other three were light. We had some unevenness, so the learning curve seems to be workable. I do highly recommend outside. There is some bean chaff that you end up with and beans leaving. So I'll put these away in a bag that'll let the off-gassing, and we'll get some comments and see what people think about this and maybe some more ideas. Thanks for watching.